game one of his college debut. Yeah, this is what I look like. I'm looking old and young. Let's go. We in the building. Elijah made his debut yesterday. Thank you, Lord. It's been a tough journey, long journey, 6 months. Woo! That's just with the surgery. Just all of 2025 was a blessing for him and a curse.
Tonight at 11, new video revealing much more about a fiery Cybertruck crash that happened early this morning in a local neighborhood. The teen injured in that crash is Gilbert Arenas, a 5-star basketball recruit for USC, and also the son of former NBA player Gilbert Arenas.
Security video only catches the tail end of this early morning crash in Winnetka, but it was so loud it woke dozens who lived nearby.
Feel like an earthquake and the big explosion. So, and it's when I wake up and I say, okay, what's going on?
A Tesla Cybertruck driven by 18-year-old Alijah Arenas, a 5-star high school basketball prospect and son of former NBA star Gilbert Arenas, hit a hydrant and then a tree on Corbin Avenue just before 5 this morning. The truck caught fire, and as the hydrant spewed water into the sky, the fire was pouring smoke both outside and inside the Cybertruck, with Arenas stuck inside. Brian Sandoval, who was woken up by the crash, grabbed a fire extinguisher, sprinted over to help, and realized the driver couldn't get out.
Heard some banging from coming inside the car, so we knew someone was in there. So tried putting out the fire, didn't help. Tried smashing the back window on the driver's side. Couldn't do it, couldn't figure out how to open up the door. So basically just saw the driver's side window slightly ajar, so just pulled that down, and he stuck his hand out. We grabbed it, pulled them out, and shortly afterwards, the fire department came.
Arenas, who committed to play at USC next season, was rushed to the hospital and is now reportedly in an induced coma.
Elijah, happy to hear Neff is doing better. I know there's some stuff you can't talk about, but what's going on with Elijah right now?
He's doing good. Like that first, the first couple hours, it's like, damn, wait, what's going on? Because, I'm up, right? I'm up at 4:30 working out. And, every time I wake up, I look on my app to see where he's at. Cause, he has, Cybertruck. So I can see exactly where he's at. What happens is he's usually at the gym, come home, sleeps for about an hour. Then I got to wake him up and then take, Alijah and his brother to school. Right. So that's been the routine. So, I'm looking, okay, he's at the gym. Okay, cool. So working out. Then, Hamani called his sister. Is like, did you hear? Like, nah, your son got in an accident. But at the gym? Like, no, he was driving home, got in a car accident. I'm like, no, his car is at the gym. And she's like, boy, he's at the hospital. We're heading there now. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. So because she's never up that early any goddamn way. So the fact that she's hitting me, I'm like, okay, maybe. So I just put my clothes on. I said, give me the address. Went straight there, and sure enough, I'm like, what the? So I go back to the car, like, so once talk to the doctors, and they're like, this is what happened. So me, I'm checking anything broke. The first thing is anything broken, right? Head. It was like, so far it doesn't look like. Anything is physically, from the outside, structurally wrong. We don't think he hit his head. A couple scratches on him, right? And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he got pulled out, rolling on the ground. And it was like, yeah, smoke, in his lungs. So I'm like, okay, all right. It could have been worse. Yeah. But, long story short is, the car, malfunctioned on him. The steering wheel went limp and, ran right into a tree. But, like once he got his personality back, which is once they took the drugs out of him, right? Our jokes came back and like, damn, boy, you almost went extra crispy on me, man. Right? You almost went extra crispy, dog.
Because you said that, those windows are bulletproof. He couldn't break the window.
He couldn't break the window. And,
So he was stuck in a car that was on fire.
yeah, and I had to, I have his phone. I had his phone, got his phone. So I seen that, when people are like, oh, he fell asleep. I'm looking at, he's on the phone, right? He's on the phone with 911. I'm trying to get that call. He was on the phone with them for 10 minutes. So I know he was at least in the car for 10 minutes, right? And, it's, once he started, talking and, doing all that, just realized he couldn't break the window, start doing all the back search on the car. And, it's, if you're a parent and your teen has this car, you might want to put a hammer in that joint.
Something to be able to
something that can break the window, because physically
not strong enough.
He said he was trying to kick the door, the window, and he couldn't. Damn. And I said, I told him, I said, man, I'm gonna just be honest with you, because when he got home, we had flowers for him, and I gave him that speech. I said, listen, you're a lucky one to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't get to see the flowers and how everybody reacts when something happens. So you get to witness what the world did when you was sleep, when you was in an induced coma. So this is what's supposed to make you great, that you watched life that could have just ended, right? You can't take this shit for granted. One thing that he wrote that kind of like made me tear up was when he got conscious, and he got the right, and he wrote, does my dad know? Right? Like, damn, you know what I mean? So, and then when, they was like, he's up, he's looking for you, because I was at home. And then, he was like, well, where's my dad? And then when I came in, and he gave me that I'm sorry look. And, I'm like, just
Come
like,
on, bro.
you good.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's you a lucky one. So, when he seen the flowers and stuff, and I'm like, man, people don't get to see what the world, the whole neighborhood, people that I didn't even know in the neighborhood.
Right.
They used to dropping flowers off into it. And I'm like, man, like all these people. And then he wrote like, I want to meet the people who saved me.
For Alijah, obviously, had the accident earlier in the year. Grace of God, he has risen, was back in the mix, but it was reported earlier this week by USC that he underwent surgery. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 months with the knee surgery. So I hit you right away when I found out. But just for the people out there, how is Alijah doing? What's going on with all that? And then what's the realistic kind of timeline for him to get back out on the court?
Brother, I don't know. I'm just to be honest. One day he was fine. Next day he got an MRI. They said he will miss a month and he'll be, ready. And then I guess his mother took him to another doctor. Then overnight it was 8 to 9 months.
Damn.
I'm like, for what? Like, what exactly? So waiting for the third expert, which is the Bulls doctor, say what he thinks, what's going on, and how did it go from a month to 9 with the same doctor. So they're still trying to figure it out, but he hasn't got surgery yet. He's chilling, trying to figure out what the hell's going on with his life.
And then when is Alijah supposed to have the surgery and all that stuff?
It's supposed to be this week, coming up, or next week. And then from there, once they get in there, they can see what the meniscus, or, is it something else? His right leg, they said if they do see any damage, they can't see it on the film. So I don't know where 8 or 9 months came from. Maybe they're just being protective of him, off after everything he's went through, because what they're saying right now is he overtrains. So he doesn't actually understand the concept of let your body rest. So, from when they seen him to the next day when he said his knee was hurting, they didn't realize that he did an hour of work by himself, running and trying to get in shape. And, they're like, if we tell him, 2 months, he might start back working out now, because he's already saying his knee is fine and he's ready to start training again. They're like, nah, we're not going through this. Mentally, he's been through it. Physically, he's been through it. And, just to see him last night, getting to continue his basketball journey was just a proud moment. I told him, I said, listen, your performance is going to be highs and lows, right? You haven't touched the basketball, or you haven't been on a 5-on-5 court in 6 months, right? So all your skills and talent would not be there today. You're going to show glimpses, but, to pull out a full game, don't get down on yourself, right? It's you haven't played in 6 months. Your talent hasn't caught up. So don't get too frustrated on missing shots that you normally make. When you start the game, you shoot early. You shoot early in the quarters because you're the freshest. But just play defense, get up the court, take the shots you think are open, and just get a feel for the game. Be out there. Just be out there. Be present. Me personally, I was looking to see, if that leg, his right leg, was laggy. I just wanted to make sure he wasn't lagging on that left, meaning the leg muscles is moving slower than the brain is trying to move. So that was fine. He was supposed to play 10 minutes. He started and did what must do. Put him in the game, go out there and learn. So, he played at least 30 minutes, which was more than, anyone expected. And that was his first 5-on-5 because didn't do 5-on-5 leading up to it. It's more individual workouts, getting in shape. So, in shape, running miles and all that stuff, he was fine. But just that interaction, you start getting bumped and stuff like that, you get fatigued fast. But I was excited for what I see, especially, with his movements. That's really all I care about. The performance is going to be the performance. Either you can ball or you can't, right? That's it, right? Either you can do the damn thing or you just can't. So, as you can see, he showed some nice highlights, some promising highlights to show you that, hey, this is what he do. So, get a couple games into his system, some 5-on-5 action, and by the end of the season, what everybody expected, that top 5 type of performance, you will see it, in the big games, throughout the game. You're gonna see him take over games. You're gonna see him hit his game winners. That's his game. So the journey has finally come, and now it's time for him to perform. So I'm excited. We're all excited. I'm gonna see if I can get an interview from him, right, to see how he feels and felt about the game, or his first game. I hope he ain't Hollywood. He ain't Hollywood yet. So you gotta get those moments early before they start hitting the 30s and the 40s and all the kids like Elijah. So I'm gonna try to get that interview for y'all, and see if me and him can watch some film so I can give him a landscape of the things I've seen and the things he can do better. All right, peace.